If you having girl problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one.
Jerry Fast Feet Fontanez. Some of you know him as the innovative fighter on the national circuit. Some of you know him as the local talent that helped start many karate schools. Some of you know him as the CEO of recognized sports and rec suits in general. But I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself to the people.
All right. My nickname is Fast Feet, which was a name that my mother gave me. She called me Fearless Fast Feet. So I was, as a competitor, I wanted to be fearless and kept the name Fast Feet. My name is Jerry Fontanez. I'm named after Jerry Lewis. So that's why the comedy comes into play. But in a nutshell, according to the martial arts, I'm a grandmaster. I've been training in martial arts since 1974. And so, for whatever it's worth, Grandmaster Jerry Fast Feet Fontanez in the house.
All right, now you talked about starting in 1974. Can you let us know how you got started in martial arts, the reason why?
Yeah, I wanted to be Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was the thing. I mean, 1974 was late because welfare didn't pay for martial arts, you know. So I started in 74 in the park in the Bronx, Grand Concourse Park. And it was written about in the Daily News, but in a nutshell, I trained for about 2-3 weeks in the park with this Chinese guy, my partner and I. And then anyone who would say that they knew martial arts, I trained with them too. So whether it was the superintendent in the building, I would train in some rooftop and buildings, in parks, anywhere, you know. So I wanted to be a modern day superhero, and I think the closest thing to being that was a martial artist. So Bruce Lee was my biggest influence.
Now, we've seen you've had discussions on social networks, and you've told people that you've dabbled in plenty of different styles, from Taekwondo to Shotokan Karate. Can you let us know the styles that you have studied?
Well, the official style that I trained in 1976, when I went to an official karate school, when it was in the basement, rooftops, or parks, was, they called it Korean karate at the time.
Okay. And
Korean karate today is known as Taekwondo. So Sang Soo, rest in peace to Grandmaster Sang Soo Tiger Kim, that was my instructor. And April 19th, 1974, on Monday, when I started training in martial arts, it was part of the World Murokan Tansudo Association. But the original forms that we were doing, they were called Pinan forms. And Pinan forms are really Heian forms, until they started doing polyglot forms, which is the Korean versions of their own curriculum. And that was in 76. By 1979, the big thing became kickboxing. Today known as kickboxing, back then known as full contact karate. So then I started, looking towards that. Didn't get a chance to really participate in any of kickboxing and full contact until I started hanging out with a guy named Jonas Nunez back in 1981.
Okay, so let's go with the relationship with you and Nunez. Now, karate scuttlebutt, or the, I guess you would say the gossip is that, are you his student? Are you his dojo brother? How did the relationship with you and Jonas come together?
I met Jonas Nunez in 1977. I was a red belt in Taekwondo. He was a green belt, I think, Kempo or something, I'm not even sure. And a good friend of mine, Louis Trujillo, who went to Clinton High School, was friends with Jonas. And when I met Jonas again, it was 1980, December of 1980, where Tommy Chen, his instructor, was throwing a karate tournament in, I think, Park West High School or something like that, somewhere in Manhattan. So I started working out with Jonas in his basement. Now, I didn't have the, even though I was a brown belt, I never officially got my black belt in Taekwondo because I didn't want to pay $100, Plus, I was beating everybody up anyway. I used to fight with 2 people in the same class. I was an official brown belt. When I went to a tournament, I put my green belt on because I didn't have the confidence. I didn't have an instructor either. So when I'm seeing Jonas there, I remembered him from years ago. And we hooked up and I started training in his basement. Now, Jonas Nunez was the one who officially gave me my first black belt from around his waist. I started competing in the tournament and I said, listen, if I compete, then you're my instructor, right? And you're the one that's going to be basically arguing for me if anything happens. Which, that's not his style anyway. But, so I trained in the basement with him. He was also the first person I ever hit with a reverse punch. I had no idea how to throw a punch. I was a kicker. I brought a lot of people to the basement also, including Time Up, the last dragon. I actually fought Time Up that day and beat him in the
If you having
tournament.
girl problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't
Steve
one.
Nancy Anderson, and I'm watching Champions in Action.
Defense doesn't mean you go out and attack someone, but you do have the right to defend yourself by any means necessary if you're in that position to defend yourself.